All right, everyone, we're rolling at you live with episode 5 of Yella's Marblecast.
Episode 5.
Episode 5.
Good to be back.
It's fantastic.
New
to
and
be back.
improved, a little bit better than the last pod.
A little bit. We got a new seating arrangement, as you can now see. We got a little bit of a light thing going on. We got a couple camera angles. We're doing it big.
Some posters, as you can see.
Some shirts. Some shirts.
Some
We got
glasses.
Rangers behind me.
Yeah.
Team Plasma over there.
We're doing it big.
We're doing it big. Okay, let's jump in. So on this episode, we're going to talk about, obviously, the track of last week. It was a surprise to everybody. Obviously the no obstacles. Then we're going to jump into just the review of how the racers did last week, and then we're going to hop into picks and preview for next week. So, where do you want to start? I mean, there's a lot to talk about, a lot and a little to talk about.
Honestly, for me, I'd like to start with that track.
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
Honestly, I hate to say this, but let's get the bad out of the way early.
Let's do it.
Because I think it was bad.
Yeah.
We kind of said in our last pod, it was, we weren't excited for the track. Maybe, we were optimistic, I think, last pod, but no obstacles killed us.
It did.
I mean, come on.
It was just like me and JP were both. I don't think we were excited to just for the change, like to see something else. We were not optimistic. We were pessimistic going into the week, and I think we were proven right because once it got to the end of the week, it just felt a little tedious. Felt like too much of a grind.
Very tedious.
Very tedious. The track 3 DNFs this week, which is kind of. One of the things we said last week is in the preview was just that there probably wouldn't be any DNFs because there's no obstacles related to cause any.
Sure, yeah, sure.
But we came out with 3. All the racers that did DNF did move on, which is
interesting.
Good to see. Interesting tidbit. But yeah, no, just there wasn't enough going on for me. It was too monotonous week to week. The thing about the obstacles is they can be triggered at any time, so you never know who's going to get affected, what's going to happen. This was just a straightforward battle. It was a grinded out kind of week, and that's the kind of week that it proved to be, because when you looked at the leaderboard going into the last race on Sunday, you saw 10 marble teams within 10 points of each other. So everyone was on the block.
Yeah, and I thought with this track too, kind of different than others. Like if you got to a fast start on this track, it's kind of over.
Yeah,
like we knew that you were placed in top 5.
Right.
There was no I think of that old Rangers moment 2 weeks ago when they were leading and they hit those ball bearings, then they just got rocked back 10 spots.
And it's something we saw with this. Obviously, I'm jumping forward, but what we saw with this track today, the old Rangers had a great spot early on, and only to get whatever. We'll get into that later, but it didn't finish how it started.
But not much excitement to this track. I mean, I commend Yella for changing it up. I love that he did that. I said to you, by Thursday, I think I was kind of over it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, where are these ball bearings?
But I love the experiment. I love the experiment.
I love it. I mean, hey, it's a week, right?
You had a good point that we talked about off air, just about basically starting. It was an interesting thought that I never would have thought of, just that starting the week with no obstacles and then gradually adding them in throughout the week was kind of a cool idea.
I did say that.
Yeah.
And the reason I said that, one, because I'm an obstacle fan, as you guys know, but you know what? Seeing how the racers react day after day.
Yeah.
Which I thought would be good to see.
Yeah.
So something maybe we can throw in later on. I mean, obviously we don't make the tracks,
right.
But some idea we came up with that I think would be effective.
But the next iteration of Marvel Survival 100, that would be a cool idea. I think so. We got a running list now. We got the point totals to reward the top racers, and we also have potentially some obstacle switch arounds throughout the week.
For sure. And I think we speak for the people. I mean, if you guys see something we don't see, but honestly, I thought those are 2 pretty good things that could improve what we're watching.
Improve an already great.
Oh, for sure.
Already great, fresh and new league style, race style.
I mean, hey, we say this and we kind of dog this track, but I was tuned in every race.
I mean, yeah, it's all relative.
Yeah,
obviously,
it's very all relative.
We still love it, but it's just, this was, I think we can agree, the worst track yet.
I would agree. I probably would agree. Rivals, what was that, week 4?
Yeah, week 4 or 5.
Week 4, yeah, that was a tough track, but yeah. But honestly, not a bad experiment. Not
a bad experiment, and jumping ahead a little bit, but it makes this week feel all the more sweeter.
Oh my God! When I saw those obstacles,
when I saw that list of obstacles, I was like, "Oh, thank
Christmas!"
God.
It was Christmas.
I could release a little bit of an exhale.
For sure.
All right. So yeah, let's jump into a little bit. That last race was intense. It came down to really the last three racers. It was Rangers, Pinkies, and Team Galactic, and it really seemed like nobody wanted to take the race. Those were the bottom 3 teams going into the final race. Or actually, Rangers was a little bit up. But those 3 teams They were trying to give it to each other. They were trying to give it away. They were sitting in the back of the pack the whole race.
I mean, honestly, it seemed like a lot of racers. I don't know if it was fatigue or what it was, but
Yeah.
they didn't want it. It just set like a battle for who's worse.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a gritty track. It was. I think it was almost like the view. What the viewers were seeing, the marbles were feeling. It was like, just get me out of this week. I just need to get. I just need to get free of this week, and then I can go back to normalcy.
And it was like almost like if I didn't get off to that good start, I'm like, oh man, like
Yeah.
almost give up. Like
Yeah.
they almost gave up
Right.
at a certain point.
Right.
But it was a battle of mediocrity at the end there. It was who could not be the worst.
Yeah.
It,
It
was
truly
it was
was.
not a great display of racers. I'll say that.
Yeah. It wasn't. I mean, if you look at some of these scores just towards the bottom, you look at our Rangers started the week with 2-3-4. That it had me very worried. Obviously, I got the shirt on. I am an Rangers fan. We won't be only talking about them, but it just, I think they spoke to really this track and how it ran, and it wasn't comfortable from the beginning. And they got a couple of better finishes towards the end, but then they finished in second to last, and just it was just a grinded out kind of track.
You know what was interesting though, and we talked about this too before. There's a lot of racers that finished podium, top 5, top 10 that didn't really perform in race one.
Yeah.
We look at it right now, Oceanics, which don't get me started on the Oceanics.
Let's yeah. Sorry, continue.
But race one, they came in last.
Yeah.
You look at Team Momo, Bumblebees.
Yeah.
They're in the bottom 5. Some racers bounce back after race one, and we kind of said it last week. You need to get off to a good start, but they kind of proved us wrong with this week here.
They did, and another thing about last week that we were saying, that this trend. So I think I had called out Momo and Bumblebees to be on watch because of the trend we had been seeing with Rojo Rollers and Green Ducks getting eliminated after winning the previous week. So Momo and Bumblebees had podiumed, and I was a little bit worried about how they were going to finish this week.
For sure.
They started slow. Momo 4, Bumblebees 3, and then they picked it up after that and showed us that the trend may be broken, but maybe it was a little bit of fatigue that was from last week that set in early on this week.
See, honestly, from what we were saying last week, our trend probably didn't go to plan on what this week happened. But do the obstacles not being there do we take that into account? I mean,
right.
I still believe in our trend that we talked about last week. I do. I think it's a major factor. I think we made a lot of good points in last week's pod that if you guys haven't listened to, you should.
Check it out.
But I don't know. I think this was kind of a weird outlier week. I'm curious to see, some of those teams in the top podium of the last 2 weeks, do they falter? Because I'm still believing in this trend. I still do believe in it.
I agree too, and we'll see when we get into our picks and preview. But another thing about this week is the top 2 teams are teams that had never podiumed before. Purple Rockets and Savage Speeders had yet to podium in this event. Purple Rockets with a seriously impressive week.
Very impressive.
Only 2 days in single digits, and there was a 6 and a 9. So I mean, it was a great week for them. Nowhere even near the bottom 5 of the racers. So great week for them, and we'll see what they have going forward. But yeah, what are notes you have on this track?
Honestly, and I hate to say this, it wasn't very exciting week, and we kind of already touched on that.
Yeah.
Some of the racers I saw, I mean, my limers, I'm getting some confidence in the limers.
Yeah.
And we'll probably touch on this later.
We will.
We can touch on it now if you want.
No, we should, because you were right in that mix of racers towards the end that were within 10 points of elimination, and you showed up with a first place finish.
I mean, felt good. A novel feeling for me.
Yeah, and that's back-to-back weeks that you've gone into the last race with something to prove and have pulled it off both times. I think last week was it was a top 5 finish.
Yeah.
And now this week a first place finish. So
and it's kind of the definition of the teams I pick.
You might be on something. I mean, that's why you're wearing a Yellows Marble Runs shirt and not a team shirt.
I'm a classic. I mean, I don't even want to say bandwagon.
He's a league guy.
I'm a league guy. I'm a players guy.
He's a player. He just wants to see the Marbles succeed.
But my Slimer is producing well. He's clutching up at the right times.
Yeah.
He's producing when he needs to produce. Still didn't really run that well. If you look at his races, a 6, a 2, a 4, he's hanging around the bottom. And like Russ said, I was nervous going on the weekend.
For
really
sure.
Was like I am the past 5
You don't
weeks.
have the confidence yet.
I don't. But after that finish and then, first place finish and then, today's race, which we'll talk about later, he's racing well.
Yeah.
And I'll take some credit if the Limers go all the way here.
Absolutely. You
I'm
should.
on board.
I mean, it's only your 4th team?
Why not?
4 times the charm.
Come on.
Yeah, like you said, not a crazy amount to touch on this week, but our listener question of the week was if we could just dive into Purple Rockets a little bit deeper. It's a team that we haven't seen on the top of the leaderboard much. It's a team that we haven't seen much in really marble events going back the last few years, which makes sense when you look at their history. These teams made up of Orbit, Sulfur, Dwarf, and Saucer and Blast. They graduated from Streetsburg College in 2013,
Love it.
studying astrophotography.
Love it. Love it.
I'm reading off my notes because I don't know it personally. I had to look it up today. They're coached by a former pro Rocket, a salty veteran who saw the potential in these kids and took them under his wing and brought them to where they are now, which is first place. But when you hear about their backstory, you'll understand why it's so shocking that they came in first place in this event.
And watch some film on Rocket. If you haven't seen him,
Yeah.
you haven't heard about him. I hadn't when Russ told me about this,
Yeah.
but
It's in black
he's
and white.
a great coach.
It's in black
It's
and
in
white.
black and white.
But
it sure is.
But he's got some good content out there. So yeah, they decided after they graduated college to become a racing team. They were invited to the Stardust Classic in 2014.
Unbelievable.
And
10 years.
10 years it's been. So they've been around. It's a younger team to us because 2014, 2015, they played in the Stardust Classic, and then they retired in 2015 and all went their separate ways. One became an astrophysicist, one became a diehard Team Galactic fan, and the others became professors. So
smart group there.
It looked bleak. Smart group. Looked bleak though for their racing careers until 2020. They sparked a return in a reunion, and they came in last place in their return, back-to-back years. Except somehow, in a little bit of a sketchy, unknown way, they won the hosting bid for the Stardust Reunion Classic in 2021, putting them back on the map.
I mean, they are champions.
It's shades of Qatar 2022 World Cup.
Wow.
There might have been some suspicious stuff going on.
I like that comparison there.
Because how could they possibly have gotten a bid after being out of the league for 8 years?
I mean, talk about a team that I haven't talked about. I don't know much about until you read that info.
Yeah.
Kind of an unknown team, but great history there. I mean, I don't see it lasting, but hey, I'm probably not one to give advice.
This will be the start of their championship tape. Is you saying I don't see it lasting in black and white?
It's a shim guarantee. They stink.
But yeah, it's a team looking to make a name and to see where they've risen from retiring back in 2015.
Oh, it's a great run.
It's a great story. It's a great run. It's something that is, I don't know. It's cool to see Purple Rockets got to where they've gotten to this week. But like you said, I don't know if I see it lasting.
I agree, and I think about it. If we get to that Final Four, that's a great content piece.
Yeah,
that's a great story.
They're still around.
The fans get behind that Final Four weekend.
Yeah,
I would have trouble getting behind. I wouldn't hesitate to get behind that.
Yeah,
hearing that story. So
yeah, and and like we said, it was a different track this week, so maybe that's why they succeeded. It's kind of a.
I think it's an outlier week. I mean, no discredit to the Purple Rockets, Savage Speeders, Oceanics.
We're giving Rocket the bulletin board material that he wants.
He's in the locker room playing this tape.
He is.
He's playing this tape.
Hear what they have to say about you?
Exactly.
You can't get up and do this?
Yeah, Rocket, you're not for real. Let's see what you got.
Oh my goodness, Oceanics and Purple Rockets. He's got something against him. Speaking of the Oceanics, that was our Purple Rockets recap and profile. But you touch on the Oceanics, a team that you guaranteed would be out this week. They put up one in the first race. They came in last place, and you must have been over the moon. But now, how are you feeling?
Again, we said it last week. A team that people will say I saw the race before I made my predictions, but I thought they were going to lose. I thought after Monday, I felt really good.
Yeah.
Clearly, the coach went in there and showed this tape to see.
Yeah.
Because he came out and threw a 15, 15, 14, 21 in my face.
And that's the bulletin board material that you just gave to Purple Rockets. We'll probably see them do the same.
Yeah, I mean, we basically picked our Final Four here.
Yeah.
With the teams we discredit. Exactly. But you know what? I got to give them credit. C raced well, consistently in the top of the top 5, top 7. I don't believe it's going to be long term. I still believe that. I have trouble seeing them in weeks ahead. I do.
Yeah, you must. A team like Purple Rockets that hasn't podiumed, as I touched on, and has been close to the elimination line quite a bit. It's not something that bodes confidence, but we'll have to just see how they go forward here. And we'll see how they finished in the first race of Monday's race this week. But just a couple other things to talk about last week. Team Galactic, Pinkies. I know Pinkies is a team that we both liked. We liked that. We loved their strategy. We loved them hanging around mid-table. But it really was kind of a bit of a collapse this last week. 5-4, 5-4, 19, which was they were trying to make a push towards the end, and then 8, and then 5, and couldn't climb out of the basement.
Upsetting. Honestly, I like the Pinkies. I think I picked them to podium.
Yeah, I think you did too. I think
um,
you just picked them a long time as a team you liked.
yeah, and a team that was racing well over the current weeks, just didn't have it this week. And
Yeah,
again, I'll contribute it to maybe the track.
new track.
It's an outlier track.
Yeah,
I just think
and they took
they
their
didn't
foot off the
have it.
gas. Yeah,
A team and a franchise, I think, will be back. As we look ahead to Marbula One
yeah.
and future events, the Pinkies aren't going anywhere. Upset to see them go, but not their race.
No,
Not
not
their
their
time.
race and not their track. I don't think. And if we look at the leaderboard, it wasn't much of anyone's track. It was a ton of low scores this week. I know that point totals are going lower because there's less marbles and less points to give out. But Team Galactic puts up a new league low with 38 in the week. Just really quite a horrendous week. They had one showing above bottom six. So really quite poor from Team Galactic the whole way through, and capped it off with a last place finish at the end. It's as if they just ran out of gas or just didn't have the inspiration to try and make a push. But they were 12 points below the Pinkies, who were the next team. And sad to see them go, but I'm really happy to be in the bottom, the last 16 now. We're fully at the halfway point.
I mean, how do you think you guys race? Because honestly, when I think of the O Rangers, and I think you can agree, a franchise and a team that's produced week after week, you really not have any stress.
No,
And this
dude,
is kind of the first week you look at. You wake up on Thursday morning here. I'm looking at a 2, 3, and 4 finish.
he's wrong.
You have
He's
to wake
wrong.
up Thursday morning and say, "Oh man, are we gonna make?
It,
Are we
it,
gonna make this cut?"
this has happened a few times now. I know you don't pay attention closely to Mandarin as I do, but it hasn't been this consistent. If anything, it's been a steep chart going down in terms of production. We had some highlights early on, and then we had some scares, and now it's getting terrifying because we were gifted advancement here. We should not have been able to
Absolutely.
advance. We came in second to last place when we needed to make a performance today. Needed to have it, or sorry, on Sunday needed to have a performance.
But at no point have you come this close to elimination.
No, you're right, but this is the trend with the Rangers. It's just going down, down, down. In fact, I'm not. I have no confidence in them going forward. I truly don't.
Wow. Wow. It's
I'm
interesting.
happy to have the obstacles back. I think that'll help them. I think this last track was a grind for them as it was for many teams, but it was not a good showing from O Rangers or Mandarin, and there's going to need to be some serious locker room conversations around that team.
Yeah, I mean, you know your team better than me. I think you guys are fine. I think you just had about a week, and again, we said it a bunch of times: outlier week, but outlier track. But we'll see. I mean, we sure will see with this new track. Hopefully, we get into the new track because
Good segue, yeah.
a lot of
Let's
obstacles
let's
we have
talk
to
about
talk
it.
about.
Let's clap it up for the new track.
New track.
New track obstacles are back. I think everyone is psyched about it. I hopefully as we are.
So we said it. I actually said it to Russ when we saw this new track. Gotta be grateful for those obstacles.
Not only are the obstacles back, but this setup is pretty electric.
Electric, but it felt like Christmas morning going from no obstacles
It did.
to blessed with obstacles.
It did. I clicked the video today and I was like, oh please.
It feels so good
obstacles.
seeing those obstacles.
And then I saw it and I just could let out a big exhale. But this track is exciting. It's a mix of a lot of contact and a lot of speed. It seems like a narrow track. Bell Carousel is a highlight. It's back. I know that's one of your favorites. And it's basically on top of the battering ram. They're really right next to each other.
It's a gauntlet
in that
area. And honestly, just to list the obstacles here, I mean, we have the spotter, the ball bearings, which we love. Fidget spinners are back. Crazy chevron. That as you just mentioned, that Bell Carousel,
yeah,
and that battering ram combo,
yeah,
is deadly. The only thing I didn't like, and it's just kind of a reoccurring theme in a couple weeks now, is that battering ram doesn't really go off early in the week.
No, that was something I wanted to say about.
Seems like it doesn't go
a
off.
lot of the obstacles. It seemed like there wasn't a lot of triggering in this race. It was the Bell Carousel itself. Half the racers were beyond it before it got started up.
And honestly, we have to look back at our notes, but like I feel like that's a couple weeks ago was the same thing.
You're right. No, you're right. Battering ram.
Is it a thing where like the course maker's a little looser like later in the week?
I think it may be to equate it to something like a golf course. You want to ease into it. They have some more forgiving runs up front.
Yeah.
To like kind of let the racers see the track before they're thrown into the full gauntlet of having to deal with a battering ram coming at them full speed.
For sure. I get it.
So that could be part of it, or I don't have the answer for you, but that has been something that we've seen pretty much consistently throughout all the weeks.
Honestly, I thought the obstacles, I mean, the beginning was a little slow, but honestly, I liked it because
it was
of
slow.
the gauntlet that came after it.
Yeah, and I
I mean,
don't
if
think we've seen this before. Before the battering ram, there's like a funnel that leads into the battering
I
ram,
love it.
so everyone has to go through it.
I love it. I
Yeah,
love it.
I can't
Now,
wait to see
we
that when
didn't
it.
see that battering ram go off,
Yeah.
but I can only imagine later in the week when that it's going to cause chaos around that bell carousel. I mean, come on.
So the bell carousel could launch you direct. Like, obviously, we know the bell carousel can either launch you forward or back.
It's like a 1-2 punch right
Yeah,
there.
and if it brings you forward right into the battering ram, sends you all the way back up the track. It's I cannot wait. I
And then,
cannot wait.
I mean, if you get through that gauntlet, then you have to face that automatic race to the finish, which I
Yeah,
loved it. I kind of loved it. I'd like to hear your thoughts, but like it's almost a speed 40-yard dash at the end of the race. Like
it is.
you're
It's like a
dicing through.
slalom though
It is,
through those pegs.
but I love it. You get
Yeah,
through all the obstacles, you get through the gauntlet, and then it's speed to the finish.
yeah. A team we saw in Monday's race, Minty Maniacs, took that gauntlet by storm. They missed every single slalom. They just pissed right down through the whole thing. I think they had a third place finish. Not totally sure, but they ran that to perfection. It's like they had the track ahead of time. One after the battering ram is an obstacle that I feel like I hadn't seen before. It was almost like a pinball machine. Those two like the two things that just shot out and shot marbles backwards. It only triggered once, but the marbles that were in play when it got triggered were pretty intense. I don't know if you recall what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I don't think it has a name, to be honest. I
Mm-mm.
think it's just kind of a wrinkled yellow put into
I
the
think
track.
so.
Um, honestly, we're talking about the track. I I got to think back on the recent tracks, but I think this is probably one of the best we've seen.
Rated out of 10. I think we're at that time to rate.
I, it's hard because we've only seen one race, but I want to give it a 9.
And
What's your
that's
thoughts?
the shim stamp. That's the top. That's PR. That's your personal best ever
Uh,
given out.
yeah, I'm thinking. I mean, this track, it's got a lot of obstacles. It's got speed. It's got a little slow in the beginning, a little strategic. It's going to be a 9 for me.
I know
It's
we've
going to be
only
a 9.
seen one race, but I'm ready to give it a 9.5.
Wow.
I really
Wow.
really like this track. And another thing that I love, no DNFs in race one,
No DNFs.
which there haven't been a lot in race ones that have happened so far. But just to see no DNFs fired me up. I love no DNFs. I love the track. It did run a little slow at the beginning, but I like you said, I kind of liked it because of what was to come later on.
You're jockeying for position.
Exactly.
You're fighting for it a little bit.
And it's almost a
Um,
chess match up there at the beginning because you don't know if do you want to trigger that battering ram or do you want to be
You might want to be behind the O Rangers, Mandarin. You might want to be behind C.
yeah,
Let him trigger that and then go right past him.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. Let him get blasted by it and then you just move on right on forward.
absolutely.
But yeah, I loved it. I thought it was a great track.
The only other thing I'll say is there's no excuse now for these racers. I mean, we just talked about 20 minutes of no obstacles. Maybe it's a weird track.
Yeah.
Making excuses from these guys that didn't perform. There's no excuses now. This is best racers win.
And when you see
And
that
we'll see
starting
that.
line, it's just getting smaller and smaller. Looking at 16 marbles up there, it looks like there's 5.
You got to perform.
You
I mean,
have to.
this
There's
is
nowhere
it.
to hide. There's
And-
fully
and
nowhere to hide.
especially when we're coming at these rankings, a 9 and a 9.5 on this track.
Yeah.
I mean, this is your time.
It's a fun
racers.
track. Doesn't mean it's not challenging, but it's a fun track.
It's a great track, and it brings a lot of everything.
I
So
hope it
even
brings
if
out
you're
the best
even
in
if
these
you're
racers.
a speed guy,
Yeah.
you don't excel.
Yeah.
But if you're a slut, it's a mix of everything.
It is. It's a narrow track. I love it. It's going to be a really fun week. Speaking of, I did my winners and losers first last week. It's your turn. Who do you got as a winner, and who do you got as 2 losers this week?
Oof. These are always tough because I
These are
feel
always
like
tough. I'll go first if you don't have.
No, I
something
have
in
them. They're not exactly right every week, as the people know. A winner in this week, I'm going to go with my Limers.
Yeah.
I have some confidence.
Oh wow. This is when you collapse.
This is when I collapse.
This is when you collapse.
But I'm going Limers. I'm going Limers heavy. Slime Rhymes performing well. We fought back from elimination. On the brink of elimination. Great finish in Monday's race, and we're gonna podium this week. I'm very confident in that.
That makes me want to put them in my losers, but I don't have them in my losers, so I won't. But that's when that's when the other shoe drops is when Shim is putting his own team in the top.
I'm confident. My other team, not as confident, but I do like the Raspberry Racers. We haven't talked about it, talked about them a ton.
Yeah.
Rezzy's been racing well.
Yep.
In the middle ground, I think he's going to continue to produce well, and I think he's going to podium this week. Just his kind of track. I have confidence in him. So those are my 2 winners.
I actually I like that pick in Rezzy because I think he has the capabilities to do that, but I don't think, as we've talked about, I don't think they want to podium necessarily. I think they want to keep some of their stamina, and I think they're. I like your pick because he's capable, but I think he'll be a top 10, top 8 racer.
See, I agree with that, but I think he's been doing that over the course of 5 weeks. So I
Time for
think maybe it's time to get on the podium a little bit.
some
Maybe he
recognition.
comes back down,
Yeah,
but I think he's good enough to podium.
it certainly is, and I like that pick. My winners this week, a team that I have picked before, a team that like the Raspberry Racers is capable of winning, but we haven't seen on the podium yet is the Chocolatiers. I talked in length last week about Chocolatiers, Raspberry Racers, Minty Maniacs being teams that have just not podiumed and just been steady through this whole thing. But as Chim just touched on, Raspberry Racers, maybe it's time for a podium, maybe it's time for a little recognition to get the confidence that you know you can do it.
Absolutely.
I think the Chocolatiers are in that camp as well.
I think it's big to get on that podium. I think it's a proof to your coach, proof to your
Yes.
teammates, hey, I'm good enough to be here.
Yeah.
So I don't hate the pick. I think Bon Bon's been racing well recently. He gets up there.
Yeah.
He deserves to be there.
I think that's a fair thing that we harped last week about just staying your ground, staying middle pack, being a little bit unnoticed, but you have to realize that this is in the end they're competitors and they do want to win.
Agreed.
So showing that you have that ability to do so is just something that will boost morale for these camps.
100%. 100%. What's your other winner?
My other winner, I went back and forth about this. It's a team that again, it's the same exact thing that I just touched on, Minty Maniacs. They've been middle ground. It's a team act that I actually have hated on the past weeks, and I've picked to lose, but they've proved me wrong time and time again, and have been middle table and have been holding their ground and raced great last week, and they looked real good in this race. So Chocolatiers, Minty Maniacs are two teams that I think are going to race well this week.
And pick one team out of the two, because I have one that I'm pretty certain on is going to bottom out. What's one team that you think will be eliminated?
One team that I really don't like. Okay, I'll give you my one. I have two written down, but the one that I'm more certain about is the Thunderbolts.
The Thunderbolts.
Another
Why?
team. Last week they trended down towards the bottom of the table. They've been kind of skating by. I believe they podiumed one time. They have one bronze medal in this competition, but it's a team that I don't. There's just something about it. I don't think they have the gall to make it through this dynamite track with their head still on. I think their head's going to spin. They're not going to live up to expectations.
I like it. One team I kind of been watching for the past couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to go Oceanics. You guys all know my thoughts about Oceanics. I'm going to go with the Bumblebees.
Okay. I picked them last week.
And I'm going to go along with the trend here. As we talked about in the beginning of the episode, I'm going to believe the trend. 2 weeks ago, they came in second. Swax performed well. I believe last week they came in sixth. I'm going to say they're just a little fatigued. I'm going to say Swax is not there, and I'm going to eliminate them this week.
I like that pick. I think maybe I was a week too early in my elimination pick because they did podium those back-to-back times. They showed a little bit of fatigue early on in last week's races. They did still finish top half of the table.
Absolutely.
So they might be running out of steam. They might have pushed themselves too hard in this gauntlet of a track. It's going to be tough. As fun as this track is going to be, it's going to be a battle for these racers.
They're going to come out on Sunday like bruised and battered.
Yeah,
for sure.
And hopefully they're safe by that point, because if they're not, it's going to be tough to get up for that race.
That's why I think it's important in this week to maybe get up early.
Yeah,
if you can get
100%
safe by Friday,
if you can steal some top 5 finishes on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday,
and then coast Saturday, Sunday, I think that's going to pay dividends going down the road.
Absolutely, and not only for this week, but for the next week and for the future, because there's only going to be less marbles to compete with. And if you're fighting at those last weeks, you're going to be gassed going into next week.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I have one fan question here.
Oh,
from Pat in Massachusetts.
Okay.
Fan question is: do you see any of the racers being out of bounds? As in, maybe the crazy chevron, maybe the battering ram knocks them out of the track. We've seen it in other events from Yella.
Yeah.
This one, I don't know. I mean, I'm going to ask your opinion, but I don't. It's very condensed.
No, we haven't seen anyone get launched out of the track.
But it is, we've seen in past races. We've seen. You probably remind me. Was it the Bumblebees where the marble
Team Momo elevated?
Elevated out, and he was actually injured.
Yeah.
From that.
Yeah.
Do you see that happening in this race to 100?
Yeah, he almost wasn't able to race the next day, which was
unbelievable.
Which was a sad thing to see. But
yeah,
I don't know if I see it in this track, only because I think I could see it down the line if those obstacles got reintroduced, which I don't know if they will, because the committee is probably smarter than that. But you're right. A thing like the crazy chevron wreaked some havoc today. It
Mm,
was spinning fast. It knocked the O'rangers some which way.
yeah.
But getting airborne is really the thing that needs to happen.
Here's what I thought too, as we get down to maybe 10-5 racers,
Yeah,
there's more speed involved
more
because
speed,
you're
more
you're
space.
you're not more speed, more space, right? So does a Mandarin go straight into that battering ram, get launched up.
Yeah,
I think as we get down
I
to
don't know why
it,
you had to pick Mandarin.
it could happen though. Maybe
it,
take Swax, take C. We'll
take
we'll
C.
take we'll
Let's get
take C.
Oceanics out of this track.
We'll take C.
We
But
are an
if
anti-Oceanics
C doesn't
podcast.
have those marbles bouncing into them, those racers,
Yeah,
you never know.
yeah.
I
He
kind
can
of like
start
the question
accelerating,
because
take flight.
I would love to see it. Obviously, not for the racers, but just for the content purpose of it. It could happen.
Yeah,
I think it's a little crazy, but good question from Pat. I thought, you never know. We'd love to see it. I
great
mean,
question and a fun question. We love those fun
it was a
questions.
fun question.
And then going back, we're now tracking the Ghost Marble finish of the week. I think it was either Thursday or Friday. Ghost Marble beat 3 competitors. So Ghost Marble, we're still watching you. We're still watching you.
We need some Ghost Marble t-shirts.
We need some Ghost Marble t-shirts. We got the league man and this team who's about to be eliminated. So
If you love these t-shirts like we do, get them at
oh yeah,
yellows.com. Yeah, let's
just Google Yella's Marble Runs merchandise. It's kind of a strange URL, but it's we'll have it for you on the next episode. You should definitely get some. We got posters here, poster here, shirts. We got mugs. They got everything that you need.
they've been great to us.
Yeah.
Quality's good. Obviously, Russ has got his O Ranger shirt on. We challenge you to, if you're a fan, get a shirt, get a mug,
Definitely,
get on board.
definitely, and also subscribe to this YouTube channel or podcast. We're coming out with videos every Monday or every Tuesday. So videos and on all streaming platforms. I think we're gonna wrap up the show, but good talk today. You got any final thoughts?
It was great, like always. Give us your thoughts, comments, concerns, questions, whatever you guys think we could do better, or questions you want us to answer on the podcast. We're on podcast 5 now. I think we're getting better with every one and having fun while doing it. So it's been great.
Certainly,
It's been awesome.
Could not have said it better. Like you said, comment on Reddit, YouTube, wherever, and we'll see you next week. Rolling out.
Slime rhyme.
See you later.